This video is going to walk you through the 8.06 assignment for game design. This is where we'll be creating our game in Unity. So the first thing you need to do is open up Unity, and then once it's open, you're going to select New. You're going to name your project. Make sure that you have the 3D selected, and then you will click Create Project. After a moment, when it opens, all right, you will notice that there are 4 views. We have our hierarchy view, we got our scene area and our game, our project area with assets, and then also the inspector view. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to insert a plane into our game. So we're going to go up here to Game Object. We're going to hover over 3D Object, and then we're going to select Plane. All right. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the Scene tab. All right. Make sure it's a Scene tab and not the game. All right. From here, we have a plane inserted into our game. We want to add a pop of color. So to do that, we're going to go down into the Project tab. We're going to select Create, and then we're going to choose Material. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to name it from New Material to say Ground. So Ground. Select out of the sphere in the Assets. And then we're going to navigate over to the Inspector tab, and over underneath where it says Main Maps, there's an area to the right that is a white square. This is your color dialog box, so we're going to click on that. And then in the hue area, select a green color, and then you can kind of perfect the green color that you would like, and then just click out of it. All right. Also, again, make sure that you are in the scene view and not the game. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your ground, and with your left clicking your mouse, just drag it on the plane to make it green, representing grass. Now what we want to do is insert something into our plane. So let's insert a cube. Again, we're going to go up into Game Object, 3D Object, hover over that, and then select a cube. You'll notice that when it inputs into the plane, it's kind of sunken in. This is known as zero transform, where the scene, where it's representing on the X and Y axis, it looks like it's kind of sunken in. To fix that, what we're going to do is just go over to the inspector view, and under transform for position, we're going to change that to be, instead of 0, it will be 0.5. And you'll notice that the cube is now raised and is now sitting on top of your plane. All right, again, our cube doesn't have any color, so let's go ahead and do that. So again, in the Project tab, we're going to select Create Material. Here, we're going to type Cube for the name. In the Inspector view, you're going to navigate to the Color dialog box. Pick a color of your choice, whatever it may be. And again, just make sure that you click out of the dialog box and that you are indeed in the scene. And then just like we did with the plane, you're going to drag the cube color and adjust the cube color to be the color of your choice. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to select our camera and change the view. So your camera is this little icon that looks like a camera, but also kind of looks like a cloud as well. Click on that, and you'll notice that you have an X, a Y, and a Z axis for your camera. We are going to navigate over to our inspector view, and we're going to change our position of the Y to be 5. So get rid of the 1 and change it to 5. We're making the camera above the cube. So as you can see from the camera view, it's now looking like it's above the cube, and you can see a little bit of it. To get the entire plane in view, we're going to rotate the x-axis. So over here in the rotation, I'm going to type 30. So I'm rotating at 30 degrees so I can see the entire view of the plane as well as the cube. All right. Once you've done that, what I want you to do is click on the z-axis, which is your blue line. And when you hover over it, it turns to yellow. And just briefly pull that in so that you're at the edge of the plane. Next, we're going to play around with the directional light. So click on the little sun icon. And then using your mouse, you can move it so that it is over, the light is over top of your cube. Okay, over in the inspector view, if you want to take a look, if you click on the down arrow, there's a bunch of different options for different directional light. You can play around with them and choose which one you like best. I personally like the directional light, so I'm just going to leave it the way that it is. All right. Next, what I want you to do is click outside of the inspector view and then click on your cube in the scene. All right. Once you have your cube selected, you're going to go down and select Add Component. All right. Using the scroll bar, you're going to scroll all the way down till you see New Script, and then you're going to type Handler. Once you have adjusted the name, you're going to select Create an Ad. And then you'll notice that down in the Assets area in the project field, you now have a handler and C#, which is what we're going to use to code. So you can go ahead and double click the handler to open up MVS, which we will use to code our game to move our cube to the left and to the right. All right, we're going to go back into our game. I just want to show you a little bit. If you click back in the game and then choose Edit on the menu button or menu bar, and then select Project Settings, and then Input, you'll notice that you have the Input Manager, and if you select the axes, you'll see all of the different ways that you can add movement to your game. For our purposes, we're just going to focus on using the horizontal and vertical, so having our cube move up and down and left to right in our game. So in order to do that, we're going to jump into coding. So we're going to go back into MVS, and we're going to place our cursor underneath the updated loop. So place your cursor on step or line 14. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add our code, which is going to be transform.translate beginning parenthesis and then input dot get axis beginning parenthesis quotation marks horizontal end quotation marks end parenthesis and then a semicolon. So this is just kind of a little breakdown of what we just typed. And you can go ahead and select the save button and it should turn to green. That means that you have no errors in the code. So the transform segment locates the cube on the axes using the cube's transform data. Translate alerts the transform that you want to change the position of the object, so it's better when the user input is manipulated. The input class queries whether the user input related to the horizontal axis should move the cube to the right or to the left based on user input. And then the translate method will then move the cube into one direction or the other depending on the results that it has received from the get axis query. So what we need to do is we need to establish our movement on the x-axis to move left and right. So in order to do that, we're going to change our code a little bit. So we're going to go back up here and we are going to get rid of the semicolon and the one parentheses. Then we're going to hit our space key on our keyboard. We're going to do shift and the number 8 key to multiply. And we're going to, again, hit the space key and we're going to type time dot delta time, and then comma, space, 0f, comma, 0f, and then end parenthesis and semicolon. All right, and then I'm going to again hit save. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into our game and I'm going to click on the game tab and then hit play. And then once it's in play mode, I should now be able to move my left and right arrow to the left and to the right, manipulating the cube on the x-axis. All right, but we also want to add movement to the y-axis. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is add a little bit more code. So I'm going to go back into my MVS and I'm going to add a little bit more code to it. So I'm going to, again, put my cursor on line 14, and I'm going to get rid of the first 0f. All right. I have the comma, but just in case I have an extra space, I'm just going to tab back until I get to the comma. And then I'm going to hit space again, and I'm going to type input dot get axis beginning parenthesis, and then we want our quotation, and this time we're going to do vertical, end parentheses, end quotation, space, and then shift and the 8 key for multiplying, again another space, then we're going to type time period delta time, and then end parenthesis and semicolon. Okay, and save again. Turns green. Let's go back into our game. And now, let me hit pause. All right, and now not only can I move it to the left and to the right, but I can use my up and down arrow keys and I can manipulate my cube where I want it to be. You'll also notice that it moves pretty frequently up and down based on your user input. So we have just completed the 8.05 assignment. So what we need to do now is actually submit for grading. So what I am going to have you guys do is take a snip of your game field as well as your code. So you should have two things, and I would make this a little bit bigger so that the entire code can be seen. And I would encourage you to put it in Microsoft Word so that you can paste both of them directly on the Microsoft Word document. and yours should look very similar to what you see